The industrial city of Volgorod sits hundreds of miles from the Ukrainian border, buried deep inside Russian territory. For years, its industrial sectors operated under the assumption of complete geographic safety. The flames tearing through this refinery knocked a critical node of the Russian war economy offline. This is a scale model of the Storm Shadow cruise missile. Hitting a target this deep usually requires a weapon like this, which costs over $1 million per launch. A price point which makes sustained daily strikes of domestic infrastructure unsustainable. Standard propellant-driven drones struggle in this environment as well. They fly slow enough that the Russian air defenses and intense GPS jamming nets routinely intercept them before they reach their targets. That successful hit on Volgorod reveals a specific capability previously unseen in the conflict, a weapon that bypasses the high cost of cruise missiles while evading the physical vulnerabilities of a standard drone. Investigators examining the crash sites around the facilities found physical components that didn't originate in Eastern Europe. The serial numbers and engineering schematics pointed straight back to British defence laboratories. The UK Ministry of Defence bypassed its standard defensive aid package to begin transferring experimental, offensive deep strike technology directly to the front lines in Ukraine. Sergei Lavrov took to the podium to deliver a diplomatic warning, explicitly framing the UK as a co-perpetrator in a major escalation in the conflict. When a nuclear superpower initiates a political meltdown of this magnitude, a logical assumption is that a massive red line has been crossed. You would think the UK had deployed F-35s, launched a nuclear assault or sent a fleet of destroyers. The diplomatic panic is real, but the trigger for the crisis is something small, entirely unexpected, and borderline absurd. The cause of Moscow's outrage is a drone that cost about £100,000, alongside a mysterious catapult launch system. The primary suspect is the BAE Systems Nayan. It has a remarkable small footprint, looking more like a hobbyist craft than a weapon of war. For years, Russia has absorbed strikes from destructive million-pound British cruise missiles. Yet it is this relatively cheap hardware that finally pushed their diplomatic patience to a breaking point. Russia's reaction suggests the delivery system itself is the problem, as it challenges their ability to predict or even prevent consistent strikes deep within their territory. The BAE Nayan is a jet-powered delta-wing drone. It costs a fraction of a traditional munition but still boasts an operational range of more than 150 miles. It has a clear military pedigree. The system was rapidly developed by Callan Lens and tested by the British Royal Navy using the experimental ship Patrick Blackett. Alongside the Nayan, Ukraine is operating a second classified British drone. It is a catapult launched and can travel over 600 miles, extending the strike capability far beyond the border regions. The UK has a track record of modifying target practice tech into kinetic weapons. They previously converted the kinetic Banshee Jet 80+, a drone originally built to train air defense crews, into strike asset armed with a 7-kilogram explosive warhead. Repurposing off-the-shelf and target practice aviation tech has created an effective class of asymmetric warfare that is difficult for traditional defenses to catch. Earlier in the conflict, the UK provided Storm Shadow cruise missiles. These are devastating, but they cost over £1 million each, which limits how you can be supplied or fired. This visual ledger illustrates a new economic equation. The UK is supplying 120,000 drones this year at roughly £50,000 each. This cost advantage allows Ukraine to mathematically overwhelm Russian air defenses, launching drones in volume to exhaust expensive interceptors. The physical result of this strategy is documented. Ukraine has carried out about 700 successful deep strikes across 52 Russian regions, with these drones hitting oil refineries and logistic hubs. This campaign effectively targeted the industrial system that fund the war effort, causing an estimated $47.3 billion in damage to the Russian economy. Moscow is reacting because the UK has addressed the cost attrition problem. Russia can no longer simply wait for Ukraine to run out of expensive ammunition. To counter this, the Kremlin uses military psychology concept known as reflexive control. The goal is to manipulate an adversary's perception of a situation to force them into making a specific decision. Russia is applying this concept now. By manufacturing diplomatic tantrum and threatening for consequences, they are attempting to scare the Western politicians into halting the drone supply. The target is the psychology of the UK public. By acting outraged, Moscow hopes to make people nervous about the imagined escalation. These threats are deliberate psychological tactic. They are intended to hide the structural vulnerability to inexpensive technology that Russia currently cannot defend against. But the UK government has called their bluff. Prime Minister Andy Burnham and defense officials have publicly signaled that they're not nervous anymore. This defiance forces Russia to accept a new reality. Their industrial facilities are being struck by mass-produced hardware, and their air defenses are being stretched without a clear solution. By ignoring the threats, the UK has bypassed Russia's strategy and diplomatic intimidation. This inexpensive hardware breached Russian airspace and bypassed their diplomatic intimidation, showing that Moscow's threats no longer dictate the scale of Western support.